Hey folks, Dr. Mike Israetel, Renaissance Periodization, back again. Nutrition Myths video number 4, dirty bulking. Oh boy, a lot of you folks have been asking for this one. Here we go. No souls spared on this battlefield. We're going to talk about the claim itself, what people actually mean when they say dirty bulking. We're going to talk about why it's wrong, what good, decent points it has, because it has some decent points, and to synthesize the wrong stuff and the right stuff, what are the best practices for actual bulking that may be just a little bit dirty? Christina Aguilera circa 1999 dirty. You know, you guys remember the song? You remember. It's a little generation difference, but you guys know what I'm talking about. So anyway, here's the claim. Dirty bulking essentially is a hypothesis, technically speaking, that the only way to get huge, or the best way by far to get huge, is to do a couple of things. One, eat way over maintenance, like 1,000 calories or more over maintenance. A lot of that's going to be junk because, like, you know, it's dirty bulking for a reason, not just because you look awful after, but because you get to eat dirty, you get to eat a bunch of junk food. And that's really the only way that it's tenable, because going 1,000 calories over surplus, over maintenance for most people is just not a really fun experience. And if it's with clean food, holy crap. But if it's with cookies and pizza and donuts, all of a sudden everyone can bulk no problem at super crazy rates. So lots of junk is an inclusion. And what the results in is a really fast weight gain, oftentimes in excess of 2 pounds a week, right? And sometimes people will message me and say, hey, like, I can't gain weight. And I'm like, well, are you gaining weight? They're like, yeah, like 1 pound a week. And I'm like, oh my God, that's totally good. And they think, like, unless you're gaining 1 pound, 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds plus, you're not really gaining, okay? And there's another idea here about like macro counting and trying to have a small surplus. And the idea behind dirty bulking, or those who promote it, is that like macro counting and clean eating is kind of for chumps. Like, it's not going to work. You got to fucking drink a gallon of milk and smash a ton of food. And that's like hardcore serious people. That's how you gain size. Macro counting and clean eating is for like nerds that are super skinny and they read too many bodybuilding magazines and they're too like nerdy. They're like, I'm gonna cut my macros. It's like, just shut up and eat, brother. Okay, well, it's wrong for at least 3 good reasons, and here they are. First of all, if you do this, dirty bulking, you'll get really fat. Okay, I did it and I got real fat to the point where I have loose skin now that's intractable. It's going to be with me forever. It's awful. It looks like shit. I'm not terribly worried about it. Life is life. But, you know, do you want that? Probably not. So maybe don't do it. Everyone I know, short of people with incredibly stellar genetics, and look, if you have stellar genes, you know what I'm saying, great. Most of us don't. And dirty bulking will make most of us get fat. And I knew tons of people, and I used to program dirty bulks for people, and they all got fat, right? So this is a real thing. It's a real thing. This, like, what do they call, like, the dreamer bulk? The idea that you're going to just get huge and stay lean, like, short of like an unbelievable drug cocktail, which probably kill you anyway, and or unreal genetics, which you could be doing a better job with your genetics anyway and staying super lean and getting big, it's really just nothing that pans out. You get super fat, you get loose skin, and then once you are fat, even if you sort of got away without loose skin, you got to diet all that fat off. And look, if you gain like 40 pounds in a few months, and 7.5 of that, that's really good, was muscle, you have to diet off 33.5 pounds of fat? Like, sorry, 32.5, good God, math. But it's just like, holy shit, like, that's 30 pounds of fat you have to diet off. The hypocaloric diet, in order to do that in a rapid fashion, is insanely pressuring on muscle growth and retention. You can end up losing 2.5 pounds of that muscle, and then you're just netting 5 after just doing whoosh like this and whoosh all the way down, an unbelievable amount of effort. For what, right? It's like a really not so great use of resources, right? Number 2, and this is part of that whoosh, is it's not healthy. It's really, really unhealthy, especially if you do it a lot. It's a bad deal. If you ever get blood work done during a dirty bulk, your doctor's going to be like, are you trying to attempt suicide and not telling anyone about it? Is this just your way of cashing out? And your good answer could be like, yeah, actually, yes, right? But it's nothing you want. It's really bad for your health. And bonus points, you feel like crap. Like, why, right? Why? And begs the question of why. And of course, the claim is because this is the only way to put on muscle. We'll get to that, right? You can feel so bad and get so fat that you actually affect lift performance, especially compound lifts. I know people, including myself, that on the top end of a mass phase, when they got really fat, dirty bulking, they couldn't even do high rep squats and leg presses anymore. They'd start throwing up all the time, or their back would cramp because they're literally so fat it impedes their performance. Now, here's the deal, man. Whatever you do in the gym, be it massing or cutting, outside of really extraneous circumstances like last 3 weeks before a show or something crazy, your performance should not be harmed. I mean, think about it. You're eating in order to enhance your performance at the gym so that you can grow more muscle. If your eating starts to deteriorate your performance at the gym, man, you're just not thinking some shit through, right? It's like a surgeon takes like modafinil or some kind of upper to be super precise and awake for 8 hours, right? Okay, check mark, they do it all the time. Like, what if you take so much of that stuff or like amphetamines that you're like doing a surgery like that? And they're like, no, trust me, it's fine. Like, no, what you're doing to help yourself is hurting you now. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Now, all this would be like maybe worth the trade-off if it was worth the muscle gain, if the muscle gain was so much more impressive. But the fact is that at a roughly 300 to 800 daily calorie surplus, which look, is not starvation macros, it's a shitload of food, you can gain all the muscle you need with a fraction of the fat versus dirty bulking. Dirty bulking has this sort of asymptotic relationship where bulking in general, as your surplus rises, it's kind of an S curve. As you're with a tiny surplus that's barely detectable, like I eat 10 extra calories a day, you're not growing shit, right? Your muscle addition is really, really minimal, possibly non-existent. As you get into that 100, 200, 300, 400 calorie surplus range, your rate of gain starts to go up. As you get into the 6, 7, 8, 9, 1,000 calories, it starts to basically flatten out again, so that the difference in muscle that you gain between 700 extra calories a day and 1,400 is going to be notable. Like, you will gain more muscle, but you're going to gain so much more fat, and you'll have to cut off your mass gain phase early because you got too fat to perform well, be healthy, or just for the love of God, look remotely like a lifter, to where if you just stretched out the phase that was gaining you 700 calories per day, it was gaining you maybe 90% of the muscle per week that 1,400 was gaining, but you could do it for 1.5 times as long, gain like 1.3, 1.4 times the amount of muscle for that phase, and never get a fraction of that fat, fraction of that unhealthy, fraction of the performance, and the fat loss phase after is going to be like fucking 6 weeks, and then you're back to as lean as you ever were, and you can repeat that really awesome long road to real solid gains without an excessive amount of fat. I'm not saying fat is avoidable entirely. It's really not. When you bulk, you're going to get a little fatter, but there's a little bit fatter, and there's like, what are we really gaining here, right? So you don't need to spend a long time cutting. Your masses can now last longer. And here's the thing about longer masses. Once you have a bulk or a mass in place, you're getting good food, you're getting good training. There's a momentum there where you get stronger and you figure out the good stimulus to fatigue ratio of where to put your body for different exercises. And you start gaining momentum and strength and volume in your training. And you really figure out your recovery. And all this takes weeks to open up. And then you're in the situation where weeks after you started massing at a reasonable rate, you're on this freight train of momentum, like you got your shit figured, and you're just getting bigger and stronger, bigger and stronger, bigger and stronger. If you can take that mass phase and stretch it out by making the calorie surplus not this extreme, but this extreme, you get better results because you can hack it over time. Stupidest analogy I'll ever make. Well, think about going to a really awesome party and having drinks. If you get like good and tipsy and then have like a drink an hour, your ass is having a good time for like 8 hours until the party's no longer fun and you jet the fuck out. And then you can go to Taco Bell, have a bunch of food, fall asleep, not even have a hangover the day after. But if you do the dirty bulk approach to drinking, don't do this at home. You have like 10 shots right away and fucking black out and you miss the whole party. And someone's like, hey, was the party fun? You're like, yeah, I was there for like, I think an hour. Psychologically, I was there for like 45 minutes. Like, it was real fun. And then it wasn't, right? So if you have a fun party, stretch it out. If you have a mass phase, the momentum helps. The longer you stretch it out to a point, and that point is probably between 300 and 800 calories for most people. If the daily surplus, the better. So there's a lot of wrong here for the dirty bulking. Now, here's the thing. There are grains of truth to this. A surplus is a very powerful tool. So if you're thinking, okay, dirty bulking, stupid, let me just gaintaining. Gaintaining is barely a thing. Once you're lean at whatever body weight you are, you gain essentially almost no muscle. So if you are 20% body fat and you weigh 180 pounds, you can gain muscle and lose fat at the same time, not maximally efficiently, but reasonably, until you're like 10 or 12% fat at 180 pounds. It's a crap load of muscle gained over several years. And you have to know no bulking whatsoever to do that. As a matter of fact, if you want, no cutting either, right? However, once you're at 10 to 12%, especially for a natural athlete, you don't just lose fat and gain muscle anymore. What you gonna do? Get down to 6% body fat by gaining muscle on the way to... Do you guys know what kind of diet it takes to get to 6% body fat? Is the kind that robs your body of energy and raw materials. It doesn't feed you that stuff. So at some point, if you're 180 pounds and lean, there's no way to get more jacked at 180 and lean. You have to weigh 185, 190, 200, etc. The only way to get to higher body weights is by definition a surplus. So a surplus is a powerful tool. So the dirty bulkers, I think some of that response that really promotes the dirty bulking movement is to those book nerd macro people who are like, I don't want a big deficit or big surplus. I don't want to get too fat. Like, no, for sure, I hear you. But did you end up being like 135 and then 135 and a year later 135 and like, I think I'm recomping. Like, motherfucker, recomping what? You're 135 pounds. You need to eat food to get big. As soon as you can see a semblance of abs or relatively crisp abs, you got to start slowly gaining weight. And a lot of those people that were those nerds that did the macro counting and did the gaintaining got salty on it as well as they should because it didn't really work all that well, or really after a few months just petered out. They had someone in their ear being like, dirty bulk, and they tried it. And so they went from 135 to 160 for the first time in their lives over the course of 3 or 4 months, but their lift skyrocketed. And they got fucking big. And then, yeah, they cut, sucked, and they dieted it off. But then they kept a lot of the muscle. And they're like, holy crap, dirty bulking worked. And just because it works, it doesn't mean something between those two extremes can't work better. And it really does. But I see where people are coming from. Surplus is a powerful tool. You never want to throw it away. And here's the thing, some junk is totally okay. As long as your weekly gain rate is in good standing, it's like, between 300 and 800 excess calories on average per day. Some days that could be no excess. Some days it's a slight deficit. Some days it's a little bit higher, 1,500. You got a Taco Bell. I keep bringing up Taco Bell. Can you guys tell I'm dieted down? And as long as the average is pretty good, you can have a bit of junk. It's no problem at all. And interestingly enough, occasional junk with mostly healthy foods tastes really good and you really enjoy the shit out of those cheat meals versus if you have junk all the time. Like when a chocolate chip cookie doesn't make you happy anymore, dude, you're in a really bad way. So this way, if you eat mostly healthy foods, a little bit of junk goes even further of a way. It makes you super happy. It's awesome. You get the benefits of a surplus, but it's not too big. It's really all the check marks there at the same time. Now, if you're in a position where like, look, I don't want a dirty bulk, but I don't have an appetite for clean food. Like I can't eat a surplus of clean food. I have a physical job. I have a fast metabolism. I'm not a hungry person to begin with. Just like people just aren't big eaters. So I got to smash brownies or I just won't get in the calories. Maybe what you should do first is try to make your clean food, one with the good macros and stuff and healthy, taste a bit better without or minimal macro alterations. You can flavor it better. You can creatively cook it better. Air fried French fries, for example, can sometimes be like almost no fat, but they're pretty fucking good. Okay, they're not like real French fries. I'm not gonna lie to you, but damn, they're pretty close and way better than like bland white rice that you poke at and just throw away the spoon. So you can do a lot with flavoring and stuff like that before you switch to only cookies. And once you've increased your food amount by eating tastier, clean, healthy food, you can, of course, layer in some junk on top of that. What we're just saying is don't replace all or most of your healthy food with only junk. That's the true dirty bulk. Don't do that because it has all those downsides. So all this together, what are the best practices we can take away from this? Well, at least 4 tips. First, eat mostly healthy, which means lean meats, veggies, fruits, whole grains, and healthy fats. That should be the core of your diet. In addition to that, take that core and make it taste pretty good. You can put some seasoned salt on that broccoli. Don't just eat it plain. You're not in this to suffer. And if you are, saying Nietzsche kind of stuff, do you. But most of you guys are trying to enjoy this and get all the results. The thing is, if you flavor your food, unless you're a bodybuilder that's 3 weeks outside a contest and needs to manage sodium, it's really just not a thing, right? So it's all the benefits, none of the costs whatsoever. In addition to that, point number 3, you can absolutely put in some fun junk on occasion, and that's great. It's part of living life. You eat super clean most of the week, and then Friday night you head to the all-you-can-eat sushi buffet and just nuke shit. It's awesome. But like if you do that daily, and that's the only way you get your excess calories, yeah, you're going to get fat and sloppy and slow. But if you do that once or twice a week, maybe even 3 times, then you're totally good to go, and it's no problem at all. At the end of the day, patience and consistency are the rules of the day. There is no way to rush the gains on that doesn't come with a huge price. You can rush on muscle gain by dirty bulking. It will occur faster, but it'll occur in such an unhealthy manner, such an unsustainable manner, with such an excess fat that permanently fucks you up manner. It's going to be regrettable, right? And I don't want you guys to regret the same shit I'm currently regretting. I'm not really regretting it anymore, but some shit happened that I wish just didn't happen, right? It's like captain of the Titanic's like, icebergs are real. I'm just here to tell you guys that. They're like, nonsense. I don't believe you. It's like, look, I've been burned like this, right? So yeah, dirty bulking has its promises, but here's the deal. Do it slightly dirty, mostly clean, stretch it out longer with a moderate surplus. I'm not saying no surplus. I'm not saying a teeny tiny one, just not a mega one. 300, 800 excess calories per day, depending on how big you are, certain other factors. Train hard, train consistently, train progressively, deal it when you need to, string together like, I don't know, 4 to 6 months of bulking like that. You are going to be enormous, way bigger than now. You're going to be still in good shape, still in good health. You won't be super fat. A short mini cut later, you're back to square one with body fat, except carrying a crap load of muscle. Rinse, repeat, get enormous, fight the military, win, take over the world. Folks, there's your template. Go out and do it.